Hola community, welcome to Blender Today. This weekly, bi-weekly, every now when there is not a release on the way show on what's new in Blender. The last time that we saw each other was over like a month ago, actually nearly a month ago, because we skipped one episode, which was the release of Blender 4.5. So yeah, even though we chat very often about what's new in Blender 4.5, it feels fresh. It feels like the community was waiting for it, especially being an LTS, a long-term support release for the next 2 years. But now everything is full on for 5.0. So let's see what is new. So I don't have to show you anything about 4.5. You already are familiar with it, although the website, I just updated it to move the title up here. So that is new. But what is also new is that the game, the open game, that's so many things were released since the last time we chatted. The dog walk game is available on Steam for free, to play for free, and it's overwhelmingly positive. Over 1,000 reviews, so seems to be doing okay. There is a DLC that you can purchase to support the team, and that way you would also help them to make more games. But also you get the sources of the game, because this game is an open game. It's an open source game, just like Frankie and all the other open movie projects by Blender Studio. But not only that, there is also the project Storm and Singularity, actually two other projects that are happening simultaneously at the studio here. So this is new. Actually, this I wanted to show you, and this is also available when you are not logged in. So if you don't have an account, this part over here has been not redesigned because it's the same design, but it shows all the production logs, articles, all kinds of updates, whereas before they would only show you some of the blog posts. But the production logs is where the magic actually happens, because if well, for this you need to be logged in. So in every production log you get to read what the team did last week, and then the views, but for that you need a subscription. So there are a few blog posts. The articles are often free. We can read like this, basically, like the whole asset workflow, and even the videos are free to access. So you don't need a subscription for everything that you see in the studio website. Actually, this is pretty nice. If you want to learn about the workflow between Blender and Godot, you don't need a subscription. You can just read it. Anyways, let's go back to enough advertisements for the Blender Studio. Let's see what is new in Blender as of this week. Wait, any other announcements? Blender conference, last 100 tickets. Just saying it. And also, I wish there is a blog post that I don't think it has been published, that we wanted it to be ready for now for announcement here in the live stream, because it's one of those announcements that you want to share the news. You want to spread the news as soon as possible, because it's one of those things, kind of historic posts, announcements that Blender will have this week. It should happen this week. It should have happened already, but stay tuned to the code blog and social media for Blender, because we're going to announce something pretty nice, so you can take Blender with you wherever you go. That's I think that's a huge spoiler. I think I just gave it up. Anyways, let's talk about what is new in Blender. 45 new authors in 4.5 compared to the previous release, and that's huge. Blender is getting so many contributions lately that the author list keeps growing. We need to highlight that more in the next releases. So let's start with animation. So in animation we have the one change that shows the slot type icon as part of the list of the drop down. So you can see if it's a slot for, well, this is before, so a cube, a key, you wouldn't tell the difference other by the name. But now there is an actual icon that shows, oh, this is a object slot, this is a shape key slot, and so on and so forth. So super nice. Quality of life improvement, so you can see at a glance what you're dealing with. another change is an actual, it's a fix. So if you have any issues with the weight paint in the smooth operator, that has been fixed. And that is all. Actually, there is this other one that is hide an assigned bone when the when any collection is marked as solo. It wouldn't before, so good to see. Then we go to assets. In assets, there are new asset types. This also doesn't happen very often, but this scene assets. You know how you can have an object, a material, a pretty much, well, a collection now, and in 4.5 the collections are actually now, you know, you can drag and drop, you can snap to them. Well, now you can have scene assets. A scene asset is yeah, it's big. As in the chat, by the way, I'm reading your chat now, but yes, they are big, because in Blender, if you're familiar with the Blender concept of scenes, a scene is a blend file pretty much. You can fit an entire movie in one blend file where each shot is a scene, and it would work just fine. So yes, this is big. Why would you want a scene to be a asset? Well, because your scene contains everything. Contains your settings for the viewport, your settings for the render, your settings for the image size, your output settings. Everything belongs to the scene. Pretty much everything belongs to the scene. So it's something that you may want to use as a starting point, as a template. For example, if you want to have a, I don't know, like sketch or storyboard or different storyboards, or if you maybe you want to have the render in different resolution, different sizes. So maybe you want one for social media where it's vertical or it's landscape. In that case, I would probably use an add-on to have the camera resolution, the render resolution per camera. I hope that would be in Blender one day, but there is an add-on for that in the extension platform. But this would help. And the reason why this was added is part of the Story Tools project, which, if you're familiar with it, actually you can now read in the homepage of projects.blender.org. There is a link to these Story Tools, where you would have different scenes, and each one of these scenes could be an asset. So you just bring in, hey, my storyboard layout. All right. Let's see. Maybe Blender for Android, says Antonio. Well, close. Henry Ogan. Oh, although people are already building Blender for Android. Henry says Vulkan is not supported for my device. Is this bad? No, it's not bad. It's it's fine. OpenGL is gonna be supported still, probably for a very long time, because it's the norm, and Vulkan, it's probably going to be the default in 5.0. So you may want to start Blender and make sure that you switch to OpenGL first, or maybe there should be a way to force start. If you can't open Blender using Vulkan to switch to OpenGL, then no, there will be a solution. Don't worry. Even just a different executable or command line, but there will be a solution. Okay, next. That was it for scene assets by Folk. Then has been some changes to attributes, more attribute storage all over the place, BLF font stuff. Then Python building. This is all. I haven't marked any of this as like we should talk about it. I mean, if you want to see this entire list, it is the oh, actually I didn't make a thread, but let's make one now. So if I go to Blender, the Blender community, we'll go to right click select. No, right click select, no, BlenderToday, write a post. Oh, someone did already. Thank you. I'm gonna edit your and add all the everything there. So thank you for making this post. Now it contains all the things that I'm gonna talk about here, mostly fixes. Because this, remember, this is 4 weeks worth of changes. So 840 commits, 250 fixes, and 1 cleanup. I think my My script is wrong because the list of cleanups is more than one for sure. Okay, next. Let's see. Ba-bam. By the way, the lighting on today is gonna change a lot. It's very windy in the Netherlands, but you get to see that I'm wearing the 2.8 t-shirt, the Code Quest t-shirt. It's crazy that we are working on 5.0 already. We should make another Code Quest just for the t-shirts. Next. Color management, white consistency. Actually, this one I didn't mention it because it should not have any visible impact to users, but you know, every time there is some color management change, you may want to have a look. All right, let's have some fun here with the Compositor. Plenty of changes in the Compositor. They are still on fire. We'll get to see what is new. Support for rotation in the split node. The node that you can use to split between like horizontally, yeah. It used to be called split viewer. Then it became just its own node, no viewer, and now it has its own gizmo. In 4.5 was given a gizmo to be able to control it from the UI. And now, on top of that, you can also change the rotation, which also has a gizmo. Let's see, yeah, there is a video here, so you can basically move it around. So not only from the center, but anywhere. They support snapping. I would assume, but let's it is super nice. Awesome, cool. So thanks Habib for this change. The next commit is about adding the gizmo, which we already seen. The next one is, oh, this is something I found while making the release notes for 4.5. I had everything disabled, no backdrop, no compositing and this enabled, and Blender was still calculating way too much when adjusting some settings. That's no longer the case. It will, I think it was because I had previews open, but if I have compositing off, even while previews are on, it shouldn't compose. So now Blender is a bit smarter. It doesn't work when it shouldn't. Then 3 nodes got a new mode called extension mode, similar to the images, the image textures that usually have the clipping mode, repeat. No, images have mirror, and this doesn't have mirror. Yeah, so I think I pasted an image. So yeah, extend, clip, but they're calling it 0 now, but I already mentioned that they should call it clip because everywhere in Blender we call it clip. And also the same for the other nodes. And repeat, I believe. Let's look at the I already asked him if they can add a screenshot, because otherwise it's hard to see which are the settings. Actually, I have to go here and then say, okay, repeat X, repeat Y, repeat X and Y, or none, which is 0. Then the same for the transform node, and the same for the scale node. Yes, nice. The disjoint and conjoint, 2 new modes in the alpha over node, which also no screenshot. Oh yeah, there is a screenshot now. Oh nice, thanks Omar, he added it just now. Yeah, so there is this type of combining disjoint, cojoint, and regular alpha over. If you want an explanation, you can look at the tooltip. It's a bit of a tongue twist. How do you say it? The foreground goes, like in this case, conjoint over. The foreground goes over the background according to the alpha of the foreground. Here, this is fine. But the foreground completely covers the background if it is more opaque, but not necessarily completely opaque. You know, this is the kind of things that AI is great at. Like, it's not stealing anyone's job. just make sense of this and fix the typos, because here necessarily should be it's a typo. But yeah, like this kind of things, it's always good to have it. Simplify. Next. Integrate sunbeams into the glare node. Oh my gosh, the glare node keeps growing. It now includes a new option called sunbeams, which basically replaces the old node called sunbeams. The reasons are because sunbeams is very limited. Actually, the node itself was very limited. It didn't have some of the options such as threshold or adding. No highlights, no, like basically the glare node has many of those improvements, highlight, adjusting, clamping. So it's good to see it merged. Next. Renaming, yeah, it's 5.0. We are in the 5.0 era, which means breaking changes for the Python API, breaking changes for some muscle memory for the better, and in the UI also for the better. The word Z in Blender is used everywhere and now has been replaced with depth, which is a bit more industry standard everywhere. Like if you use Nuke or any other compositing software, they're often, well, I think Nuke is in depth C, is a combination, but depth is a more common word to use in that case. So yeah, that is it. Depth has been changed in the C combined node. The node width of some nodes in the compositor has been widened, so we have more. You can actually read some of the labels. In this case, key color, bounding box. In this case, box should be capitalized here. Yeah, and so on. There's many nodes that have been affected by this. Then menu sockets are now supported in the compositor, in the menu switch node. Nice. So in this case, the B and the A, these values are coming from a menu switch node. So you can introduce menus. You can recognize menus by this square dark gray shape. Nice. In the next version of Blender, Glare node will be able to run Doom. I hope. And actually I wanted to try, because we are live and we might as well try settings. If I search for sunbeams, okay, it's still, oh, it's twice. Once as a filter and once as glare. Is that because I have developer enabled? Let's see, let's disable experimental developer extras and let's search for sunbeams. No. I don't think we should have two sunbeams. It's a bit confusing. Maybe I might have an old build. Yeah, but yeah, we should have only one, right? And maybe the name of the glare node. What do you think? The name of the node, should it change to show bloom, sunbeams, etc.? The same way that when you add a math function, you actually change the label, because that way you can read. I think we should, no? So basically it would look something like bloom. And this will be sunbeams. No? I think it would be better. Cool. Next. I'm gonna bring it up to the developers later. Core. Yep, let's switch to core changes. First, add more variable for path templates. Oh, nice. This feature landed in Blender 4.5 with three options, basically resolution, blend name, I think, and that's about FPS. Now we have a bunch more. We have scene name, camera name, node name, only for the paths owned by a node, like the name of a node. Blend name library. Oh, node name. So you would get the name from the node. So you could have multiple file output nodes where you use the variable node name and then you can input, basically take the name of the node and use it as a path. Ooh, that's interesting. Would that work? Do I want to try this live? Maybe not. Maybe it's a really silly idea. But I wonder if I do node name. Does Blender show it computed anywhere? No. And if I wrote it wrong? Okay, it knows that. No, it doesn't show it even in the tooltip. Oh, it could show it. No? Computed. But it knows that it's wrong, so if I fail, it's wrong. Yeah. Anyway, this would be awesome because then you can just use whatever as part, and then make this the path. Cool. Anyways, what else? Which other ones are? Blend name library. Name of the blend file of the ID path property is on, without the file extension. Blender, the directory, path up to but not including the currently open blend file. So it's the path. Okay. Blender lib, path up to but not including the blend file of the ID path the property is on. Cool. Additionally, adding support for the node name required rethinking the path template system a bit. This is internal changes. So yeah, still no mention of the frame number, which I think it would be very useful, and it's a request, but it is a bit more involved than this one. This one, it seems to be much easier. Although, community, jump in, help, especially because today is Nathan's last day, actually. I don't know if you've seen Blender Heads. In the last episode, number 9, has been released 5 hours ago. So after watching Blender Today, go watch the this. This is a Blender Heads episode with a very young Ton and Nathan and Andy. Look at the Andy. And then I don't know why I'm there, and and what else? Marathon. Well, everyone. So yeah, have a look. I haven't watched it myself yet, so I also have to watch it tonight. Let's continue with what I have here. If you're interested in this, there are more. There is the whole project setup page where more of these variables are there. Yeah. Okay. Next. Project awareness is part of the project to make Blender aware of projects. Let's see what else is new. It's added BLI thread cube priority and cancel support. Okay, this is very core to Blender, but apparently should improve the cancel. So when you spam the cancel, the escape button should be more reliable. Let's see, curves. About reallocating handle types. Is this performance improvements? More like internal changes. Let's switch to cycles. In cycles, we have some volume changes. Always render volume as nano VDV. All the GPU backends now support nano VDV, so use that instead. This has an impact because it has less memory usage. Great. It has a performance impact, however, that comes in the next commit, which I'm sharing now, which is use stochastic sampling to speed up tricubic volume filter. What does it mean? Faster, better, more better. Twice the speed up for CPU and 4 times the speed up for GPU when rendering smoke. An example blend file called OpenVDB smoke on a MacBook Pro M3. So it's not even like the top of the line, just an M3, regular M3, not M3 Max or nice, cool. And a Mac even, not even like a 4090. Let's see. The node we can probably get even a bigger speed up with acceptable noise trade-off. Nice. Yeah, there is a bit more noise, but usually only a little. And I would take 4 times the speed up for a little noise that I can use a denoiser with. Awesome. What else is new in cycles? Thin film iridescence support in the glass BSDF. And this one has a picture. Yes, thank you, Lucas Stockner. Look at this beautiful glass shader that now supports being greasy and, you know, when you drop some oil in it, yep, now you can use it. That's so cool. Nice. Long time waiting for this. The next one is a replacement to the calculation of thin film to have more accurate lookup tables. So this is a whole bunch of functions and algorithms and papers involved that I trust this is for the better. So thank you. Same person as before, Lucas Stockner, with of course the review by Brechten all. Let's see what else. Apple, Michael from Apple has improved metal kernel specialization, which means faster rendering when rendering volumes or non-volumetric scenes. So cool, nice. Let's move on. We have dependency changes, docs, extensions, just internal changes, fixes, bunch of fixes. Blender is as fixed as it gets. Oh, by the way, one announcement that, look at the lighting, how it changed. One announcement that we didn't do anywhere. Maybe Steam had it. Blender 4.2 LTS came out on the same day as 4.5. We didn't announce it. I wanted to tweet about to share it, but didn't also want to take away from it. I wanted to tweet today, but it was the Blender Heads tweet. We didn't want to. So yeah, overlap of versions. But actually, if you go to blender.org/LTS, you will find 4.2 LTS. And the latest release, which is 4.2.12, came out on the same day. There are 8 changes, 8 improvements. Very few, actually. And is 4.2 very stable, or people are not reporting? Or is it really maybe not even compatible that much anymore? It should. Cool, nice. Let's see. What else? Fixes, bunch of fixes in Vulkan, in everywhere. Cycles and necessary changes, fixes. Unreported. The list is huge. Okay, next. Let's see Ghost. In Ghost, there are many changes related to cursors, Wayland, so Linux, and yeah, there is one which supports RGBA custom cursor. So transparency in cursors, in the custom ones that Wayland didn't support yet, Blender on Wayland. So yay, welcome. I still remember the day of Windows XP adding support for transparency in icons, like nice transparency, and I was making my own icons back then. What a time to be alive. Next. Geometry nodes. Not that many changes actually for being 4 months. Maybe big things are coming actually. I know also there was an entire week that Jack was here actually at the studio. So, and maybe there were holidays, I'm not sure, but there was 1 week that he was here for a workshop on geometry nodes and basically preparing the agenda for the next coming months. And yeah, in a bit less than 2 months we had a Blender conference, so it's good timing. So I expect there are many things coming. This change, it's a UI change to add some descriptions to various built-in geometry node sockets that didn't have any description. So yeah, tooltips, nice, thank you, Jack. Next, more Ghost. This is capital Ghost. Grease pencil. There's some changes in grease pencil. Implement align Bezier handles in transform operators. No. Initialize runtime drawing user count on read. Also not. Something to discuss. Bunch of changes in internationalization, thanks to Bastian. Next, we have the FBX importer is now the new FBX importer is now the default one, and Python 1 is legacy. Although I think we did this for 4.5 already. No. In 4.5 it was added, but it wasn't the default. Now it's the default. Cool. The previous one I think was experimental. Then image buffer, linearized float buffers from FFmpeg. Okay. Leak sanitizer, nothing we should discuss. Logging, merging of 4.5. I thought I deleted all the merge releases. I think this is special case. Mesh. Okay, what is the mesh about? We have 3 changes that I wanted to highlight. One is tune the parallelism of calculating normals corners, which means, okay, some details here, that time in seconds. Okay, long story short, a test loading a scenario that used to take 14 seconds now takes 7 seconds. So half the time. Nice. That's a huge speed up, but I don't know the exact time comparison before. Let's see. Next, more improvements in sculpt speed ups, sculpt speed improvements. I don't think this one has exact numbers, but I trust that it's faster. Well, especially because the changes have been approved and committed by Hans, so we know it's in good hands. Good hands. And the last one is actually by Hans, which means move freestyle tags to generic attributes. This is interesting, actually. I haven't tried it myself, but people using freestyles, the freestyle renderer overlay. What is it even? Freestyle? Is it an overlay? Is it a render overlay? Anyways, the tags, so the edge, face mark tags, they're now generic attributes. So you can access and change them even with geometry nodes, I assume, because they're just regular attributes and they are now propagated like regular Boolean attributes. So I guess you can also see them in the spreadsheet editor, which is also nice. Let's give it a try. Actually, I didn't try this myself. No, I'm rendering. I don't have freestyle on because my build is light, which means, yeah, I don't have freestyle on. No. Yeah, no, I can't try it here. I'm using a light version of Blender, which is the one I use for developing, but the other one I tried to compile and it was failing on here. Let's see. Well, let me know if you can do any, because if this is what I mean, that what I think it is, it's kind of huge, no? Being able to set freestyle attributes with geometry nodes. Let's see, what else is new? End degrees of freedom. Number X, 7 degrees of freedom, as many as your device has. Now there's a new option to swap the Y set zoom directions, basically. Nice. There are 2 other changes, which is remove impact of the auto orbit center on fly mode. I think this one I was supposed to review too. It was marked for me to review, but I'm not familiar with this, and I don't have an end of device either, so I can't. I think we need someone from the community who can help with this. Let's see. Null Wrangler, yes. Thank you, Ido Shahar, for working on the Null Wrangler. It's great to see people contributing to the Null Wrangler instead of making a new add-on and putting, even if you put it for free on GitHub or extension platform, it's much better if we just improve the Null Wrangler instead, like in this case Ido did. So what does it do? It even includes a picture, I think. Yes. This change makes it so when you lazy connect two nodes that have booleans, Node Wrangler will now add a proper boolean vector, boolean math basically. Connect this with two, with AND. So nice. So I don't know if you're watching this, Ido Shahar, but in Blender Community, in right-click select, there are some requests of Wrangler, not the Node Wrangler. So if you search for Wrangler, you may find a few. This one, smarter UDIM handling using Node Wrangler. This is interesting if you're into this. I think it's about naming the sequences based on the UDIM name. So instead of making it like this, doing it like nuke. Or Houdini also does that. That's what I like about right-click select being independent, not being tied to Blender Foundation, Blender Institute, is that we can mention this without getting in trouble, because it's not like we're copying how they do it. It's just common sense to do it that way, to name the tiles in based on their name. So in that case, if this was in our official Blender forum, then this would probably not be allowed. So it just makes sense sometimes. And it's not illegal, right? It's just not copying a pipeline. Anyways, let's move on to nodes. In nodes, there are a bunch of changes. One, consistency. Collapsing a node, the thing you press with H, it's now called collapse. It used to be called hide, which is not really hiding. Hiding in Blender is something else. Hiding is more like mute, as in the M key. So now that has been renamed. Then auto linking now works with extend sockets. So Blender, so now you can do this. So you can connect, you select two nodes like a file output, and then you just click, press the shortcut to make links, and this will happen. Nice. And that shortcut used to be F, no? Or Control F. The same way that you can do with the like file output. So if I do this, select these two, Command F. No, F is now this, and J. Yeah, J. That was the shortcut. The old shortcut was remapped to J or join, which makes sense. So let's see if I can repeat the demo. So I have a bunch of passes, and then I just select the render layer and the file output. Then I press J. Why don't we have? I don't have it set up here. Oh wait, because it doesn't file output with an extend socket. Okay, I think I'm using a bit too old Blender here. File output shouldn't have the extend socket in this case. Anyways, let's see. Initial support for built-in menu sockets. We have seen this already. Now supported also in the Compositor. Nice. So this huge commit. Let's see pictures. There you go. Nice. Menu as sockets. Who would have thought? Wow. And here we can actually see it in action. Menuception, no? A switch node, connect to another menu. Wow. You're basically rebuilding Blender's UI in geometry nodes. But the good thing is that this applies to other places too. Like the Compositor now supports it. So it's not just geometry nodes, it's everywhere. Such as improving the socket tooltips. That's something that it's improved, that makes it better everywhere. For example, now sockets show more information. Show the value, the type, the actual type of the socket type, the value separate in a new line with a monospace font, because usually those include values. the dangling reroutes are ignored. So it tells you the error, something's going wrong. And oh, in this case, it even shows a matrix. Wow, a 4x4 matrix. Nice. Mesh. Integers. Floats. Nice. Next, Python. Show ID name in node tooltip. Well, similar to how it was done before. So if in Python now it's going to show you the ID name for that one node. Cool. So this is when you leave the mouse over the menu. Cool. Next, let's see in Paint. There is one change to Paint by Sean Kim that adds migrates radial symmetry from scene to mesh. So now it's more, instead of being global for the entire scene, it's just limited to that one mesh. So it makes sense. Different meshes might have different radial symmetry. Nice. Next, in point cache. Point cache. Cache. No, I don't know how to tell the difference between the cache that Blender needs. That's why the Blender Development Fund is mentioned. Oh, Daniel Weister renewed the gold member. This is a gold person. 1 minute ago, Daniel Weister, who also contributes to Blender in many ways with demo files, testing, reporting, everything, and now even with a gold membership. Actually renewed, so it was before that. Thank you, Daniel. Let's continue. The remove support for LCO and LCMA compression. Use ZSTD. So 2 types of compressions have been removed for point cache, and they're using now the ZSTD, which has been around for a while, and the libraries and everything else is not gonna be removed, just disabled for now, in case people really need it. But the idea is to remove it because the other one is much more superior, and it's been used for a while now. Okay, then other changes in the Python API, PyDoc, Python itself, new API for collection exporters. Nice. A new API to collection exporters, 3 new functions to collection exports. New, remove, and move. Okay, interesting. I didn't highlight this one previously, but I can find uses. Let's see, refactor. Oh, rename legacy grease pencil types to annotation. Okay, this is old. Refactor, a bunch of refactors. Yep, it's 5.0. Time to refactor things, tidy up things. Let's see. Un refactor, not only refactor, also one refactor. Add UI layout operators. Then regression tests, releases. The graphics have been updated. Report templates have been changed. Yeah, now you have a checkbox when you submit a bug report to confirm that you actually submitted the bug report form. It doesn't change anything. It's just one more step for people to confirm that, hey, actually I read what you guys asked, because there are many low quality bug reports. Some of them might have to do with the fact that Windows now shows you hey, report a bug that actually opens the browser, and you have to fill up by hand because there's no way Blender knows everything or how the error happened, or you need to explain things. But I think people are just like opening the browser and just sending the report as is. So yeah, now there is a checkbox. Shape key, delete selected key blocks. Oh yeah, one big change was that now you can select multiple shape keys and delete multiple shape keys. Now this works for multiple items, which is super nice, unless it's locked. It's not an error, it should be a... It's not an error, it shouldn't be an error, it should be like info, like, or maybe warning, like skipped one locked. It's not an error, it shouldn't be an error. So it's just the information. Let me know that this has been skipped. Next, bunch of tests, tools, adoption to weekly. Okay, this is very internal for developers, like internal tools. Tree-view multi-select support. This is what I just mentioned. The cool thing about this is that it wasn't just added specifically for shape keys. Shape keys is just one use, but the internal work has been done in a way that can be reused in other places. So you can do you can select and then do control click or command click to select multiple items, or shift click to select a range, same way that it works in the outliner. So this opens the possibility for more places. What other lists do you think could benefit from having multi-select? Let me know in the comments below, or on the comments on the side. Actually, if you're watching this on a TV, I personally watch YouTube more on TV than in any other platform. So the comments are actually on the right, one side. Next. All right, let's talk about UNI, user interface. Bunch of changes. One, the visibility of collections can be controlled through shortcuts. Well, they are now supported in the outliner. I don't know if this removes them from the 3D view. Yes, it does remove them or not. Yes, it does remove them from the 3D view. I'm happy to see that. So yes, the numbers here in the numbers, basically to isolate visibility of the collections, has now been moved to the outliner, where it's a bit less prone to press it by mistake. We had many reports of people just by accident pressing one number, and then you lose the visibility of all your collections. And especially when you don't have many objects and you press a number and then suddenly you don't see anything. So that has been removed. That's a good thing, I think. It's a muscle memory breaking change for many users. I guess. I don't know if many people use it, but at least it's not gone. It's in the outliner. However, there has been conversations going on about what if, instead of Blender guessing, because Blender basically when you press these numbers, Blender guesses. It can't know what is 9 and what is 5, right? It just, this happens to have these names of 5 actually aligns with 5. But what if I have nested collection, right? So 6 now becomes this item, not this one's inside. So what do you do? Well, there has been some conversations about what if users would be able to change the shortcut on the fly. So on a per blend file, like it saves with the blend file, for example. So what if I say, okay, this collection number 3 that I really like, maybe I can do like control 1 or command 1. No, command 1 is what I use to change desks. Okay, control 1. And then now that when I press 1, I would go here. In the same fashion that you can do the same with geometry nodes. Like when you have multiple, actually you can do that in the Compositor much easier. So if I have a viewer or multiple viewers, I can do control 1, 2, 3. So now I can press 1, 2, 3. What do you think about this feature, 1, 2, 3, being able to mark specific viewers, but in this case specific collections, to a shortcut? What do you think? Harry! Hello, Harry! We've been reviewing old presentations. Today I went through yours, Harry, for the Blender conference, and it's a go, of course. I added some tags on it. Yes, this week has been this week, last week, and the next week probably will be a lot of Blender conference work involved, because it's sooner than we think. And let me know, what do you think with these changes? Or this proposal to have custom key shortcuts for collections, custom hotkeys for collections. Also, native English speakers, is there any difference or preference for saying shortcuts or hotkeys? Is that some kind of British, American difference? I kind of like shortcuts. Although a shortcut is not always a hotkey. You take a shortcut to something. I don't know. I like a shortcut. It's more real life. A hotkey is not really hot unless you're not in the Netherlands. Okay, next. Fade in active border highlights. Yes, subtle change, but now when you mouse over the areas, they will highlight. Well, they will fade in and out when you highlight. Very subtle. Dope sheet. Add cache visualization. Wow, that's something that I did a long time ago. Last month, a month ago. This feels like another life. Yeah, basically the dope sheet can now show cache, which is one of the steps to finally get rid of the timeline editor and basically merge this functionality with the dope sheet. So you don't have two editors that basically do the same thing. Let's see. Key bindings is better. Okay, nice, interesting. So shortcuts is fine. Pablo, please consider making Flatpak or FlatHub official, maintained by Blender staff contributors. Can someone from, I don't think anyone in Blender at Blender will be against maintaining a Flatpak, but it adds overhead to every release. Every month there is a new release. We don't mention it, but well, we sometimes mention it. Every month there is a new release, an LTS, and every 4 months there is a big release. So it adds a lot of overhead. So this is a kind of work that would be really nice if someone from the community could help with. But also most distros already do it, or no, isn't it? Shortcut is fine. I don't use collection hotkeys, so making them custom makes sense to me. Thanks, Harry. Hotkeys, you press them, they're hot. What if my fingers are cold? Same thing. Hotkeys sounds very American to me. I kind of like shortcuts more, so vote. Actually, I could have create a poll, no? So this way I can just do hotkey or shortcut, and I let you choose. In the meantime, let's see what else is new in Blender. Tree view, click select operator. Yeah, this is very internal actually. It's just like clicking to select. It's a something that you would expect, right? But it wasn't implemented. It's that way when you click, you can have a callback. You can do some things internally, but it's a good thing for the tree views. This one is a change to the default frame method for camera background images. This is a change that was a bit out of nowhere, but it makes total sense. By default, you may recognize that when you add a picture to Blender and to the background camera, it shows them stretched, which is something that most people wouldn't like. So now that has been changed, and the default, when you drag and drop an image, when you add a background image to the camera, they will fit, they would resize to fit instead of stretching. Super nice. Next, disable the remove material and use slots in edit mode. Disable, yeah, there was yeah, so basically the option was still available even when it wouldn't work. So that has been changed. Thanks, Pratik. SVG icons as internal custom mouse cursors. Yep, now we can use SVG icons, or SVG anything, as custom mouse cursors. So we could technically use, oh nice, everything is now SVG. So we could even add our own icons. So maybe when you're using a tool, like a select tool, we could show the select cursor that is specific for that mode. That would be nice. Bye, Sivran. Thanks for being there in the chat. So Shortcuts is winning. Nice. Can I vote? No, I can't vote. Boring. Okay. Let's see. Next. Oh, this one is awesome. The move to collection operator, so the M key, now supports search. So this is a refactor that comes with this awesome yeah, I made this task a long time ago. Basically, the move to collection would show a nested list, which was not possible to search. So you couldn't search for a collection. And yeah, that was very limiting. You can end up with a very long list. So the solution would be to just use a menu and allow search. So now that is search. You can select an object, press M, and well, it basically shows in the regular menu. It even will shows with the cursor. That's great. With the cursor, with the color of the icon for that collection. But also if you press the M key, now it shows the color of the collection in a menu, but you can also click to search. And once you search, you can search for collections. Yay! No more digging. You can even add a new collection from within this menu. That's so cool. So nice. People working with many collections will know the pain. Okay, let's close the pain for my browser. That's so cool. Thank you, Guillermo. Next, show the abbreviation for home in the title of Unix systems. Avoid overly long paths in the title bar by using the home prefix. Yeah, so the prefix, the prefix is very common in Unix, in Mac, on Linux, or FreeBSD, and this has been this change has been applied to the title, so they can now. Sorry, I had a distraction here. So they can now show instead of showing the /home/user/ you show it more collapsed to show just this tilde icon, which is super nice. I think this started as a feature that would be everywhere for Windows, for Mac, but there was a long discussion apparently on Windows. It can get, there is no concept of home in Windows. Home is more like a collection of shortcuts, and yeah, it's a bit silly, and there was a lot of discussion going back and forth, and translations get on the way, and basically you don't, to not deal with that. It makes sense on Linux. On Mac OS, well, Mac OS we don't use it for the title bars, because in Mac OS Blender does not show the path, because the guidelines for Mac OS are yeah, they say that you shouldn't use that. So let's see. Disable, copy, and remove materials when slots are empty. Same concept as the other task. When the material list is empty, you shouldn't be able to copy and remove materials. So quality of life improvement. By Ethan also, disable mirror and update shapes from object shape keys when the list is empty. Same concept. Don't show or gray out operators that are not possible when the list is empty. That's super nice. Quality of life, yay. Cursor time for RGBA platforms. The Windows and Wayland platform can both create anti-aliased mouse cursor from SVG sources. This is a cursor that shows up when you're rendering or when you are, what else? Baking, maybe? Now they show this nice, well, nice. It could show a progress bar that is nicer. In some cases it does, but some cases you still want to show this. I think it's in playback? No. I think there are some cases where you still see this. Now it uses a proper UI scalable widget. The Z pass has been renamed to depth. This is a big one for compositors out there, nukers or After Effectsers, I guess. Yep, Python API still uses the Z pass to not break compatibility that much, but now this has been changed. Yep, the pass is called depth. So thanks. This was a request by a very talented compositor. So glad that we managed to get this over. Contribute to Blender being more industry friendly. Next, hide more content for full screen area. Yep. So the operator full screen area, which is a bit confusing because it's not the window full screen, but the option to make any window full screen, any area full screen. So you have maximize, which is the one that you can use this shortcut, the most commonly used, but there is one that takes that to the next level and removes all the overlays or most of overlays and just leaves very minimal interface, which is super nice. I don't know why more people don't use it. I think just the shortcut is a bit complex. So it's Command Shift. Well, anyway, you can get rid of it by going to the corner. But yeah, it's a much more clean one, and especially when you're in the 3D viewport, you can go area, toggle full screen area, and you will basically get rid of most content here. So for tutorials, I think it will make sense. For screenshots, for VR makes a lot of sense. Next, let's see some changes to USD and one in UV. Small one, but the pie menu order of items is now consistent. There was a bug report, I think, that the order wasn't consistent with other places. So selection and cursor were flipped, I think. Yeah, now they're not. Next, video sequence editor has 3 changes. One is that you can now keyframe in preview. So in the preview region, the one that you are on at the top, you can add a keyframe with keying set, delete keyframes, clear keyframes, and change the keying set, all from this. Nice strip animation. Is that the same name we use for objects in the object animation? Yeah, nice. Nice. I was just thinking if maybe we use a different wording, keyframes, for example. Anyways, 2 other changes have been added. So thank you, Ramon Klauk, for working on that. And now 2 changes by John. Clamp strip handles to video audio bounds. This is awesome. So, you know, I think this is very common also in other video editing software, that when you reach the end of your movie or sound length, usually you shouldn't be able to, or by default, you shouldn't be able to expand the video after that, because it's you would expect, okay, this is the limit. Okay, now I know that I'm at the limit. There is an option to disable that. It's called clamping, and you can press the shortcut C C for disabling it. It also shows up in at the bottom of the window in the status bar, so you can disable it if you want to, but by default it is enabled, which makes sense. And the key will the strip will have a red outline when that happens. Super nice. Next, the move strip operator also now clamps the starting position to the region bounds. This patch clamps the newly added strips with the move strips property to the video sequencer region bounds. Nice. So when you add something, add movie strips, and yeah, so it basically moves it to where you can see, basically, instead of moving the move strips all the way up. I like that. By default, otherwise it would show these. I don't know if you can tell. So if you add a movie strip with your cursor over here, when you press add movie strip, Blender would use to add the strip up here, so out of sight, and you don't want that. You want to see actually what's going on. So in that case, and this has been fixed. So it would let me get a bit more light so you can actually see each other. Now Blender will fit it in the screen. So nice. Thank you, John. And video. This is not related to the video sequence editor, but just video in general in Blender, that now has HDR video input and output support. Thanks to ARAS, we have HDR video files are properly read into Blender and can be rendered out of Blender. So HDR in, HDR out. Two flavors of HDR are recognized based on color-related video metadata, PQ and HLG. Both are read effectively into floating point images, and their color space transformations are done through OpenColor IO. The OpenColor IO configuration shipped with Blender has been extended to contain these two color spaces. Note that if you already had an HDR video in the sequencer, it would have looked incorrect previously. It will continue to look incorrect because that's the wrong color that was assigned before this feature landed. So you may want to go ahead and either re-add the clip or change it manually to be PQ or HLG, the one you need. For H.265 and AV1, the video encoding options now display the HDR mode, similar to reading. Nice. There are also options for PQ and HLG HDR. The reference white is assumed to be 100 nits. YUV uses full PC JPEG color range, and no mastering display metadata is written into the video. More details and screenshots in the PR. So yeah, this is, I guess, a screenshot, a picture. And you can tell. You can clearly tell. Yeah, okay, you can tell the clamping here and the HDR-ness here. Nice. I love that Ara is still using the dog as reference. Please keep that coming. So nice. Yeah, it's hard to show here because this video is not HDR. I don't even have an HDR screen, so I don't even see the difference. But yeah, this is what you would see. Video, you can choose the color depth, which HDR, and output quality, and the rest of options. So nice. Thank you, Aras, for your contributions in all ways. Viewport. Respect the grid scale in walk mode for heights and gravity. Yeah, so I don't know if you ever noticed, I did that when you are in walk mode or when you're in walk mode, so like fly mode, but walking when you press, I think it's spacebar or V for gravity. Yeah, the scale of the grid wouldn't scale properly with the height and gravity of the grid size, which is yeah, sometimes you look like you were either a giant or too small for the scene as reference. And that's we're almost done. There is a window manager, 2 changes, three changes. Increase the maximum name length for the select pattern operator. Yeah, apparently it was limited to only 64 characters when you were looking for a pattern, and that wasn't enough. So now it has been up to 256 max ID name, which makes sense because that's the limit of data blocks that data blocks have in Blender 5.0, which is huge. So nice little change. Window manager, use the system's DPI for the cursor scale instead of the UI scale. So instead of relying on Blender's UI scale, Blender will read it from the system, nice, and scale the cursor accordingly, because that's an accessibility feature actually. When you want, when you set your system to have big cursors or big text, Blender should honor that setting. Let's see. Switch to high resolution timers on Windows for slipping. Eh? High resolution timer. How is let's see. So this is Windows apparently. This PR introduces a more precise slip function that uses high resolution timers on Windows. By default, Windows only has a resolution of 15.25 milliseconds for the regular slip function. Using more precise timers makes sure that Blender can wake from slip quicker and improves performance at high frame rates. Wow, I didn't know that. That's nice. By someone from Intel, Christoph from Intel. Look at that. I didn't know. The more you know. Thank you. Wayland fixes Windows. One change on Windows adds some context to access violations. So this is better report crash logs and reports. And this is by Ray. Thank you, Ray. Yeah, better reports. Lazy Dodo. And the last change is related to the workbench, which is now slightly faster, 5% playback improvement in one demo file, the 18-day flower shop demo file. So super nice, very welcome change. Thank you. And that is all. That's all. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. And yeah, 4.5, you don't need to. Well, actually, one thing that is new since we launched 4.5 is the modeling section was missing a crucial feature that I added that a few days ago. The grid fill feature, has a huge improvement that not only works on filling an area where faces don't exist, where you select like a hole and you fill the hole, but grid fill now also works with selected faces. So when you have a selection already done, like here for example, you can use the grid fill option to make it look nice. Or in here, for example, if you have this mess, it can look much nicer. So yes, that wasn't there. It wasn't mentioned in the video either. So it was added late to the release notes. So it's good to show it. So even when you think you're done seeing everything that's new in Blender, have a second look at the release notes, because maybe after the release it still happens. I don't know if you get to see what happens on this video, but it's kind of crazy. Like, you start from this mess, select some faces, grid fill, boom. Okay, looks a bit better. Expand the selection a bit more and then grid fill again, boom. And then again, and it fixes that. It's crazy. So nice. Okay, let's see. That's it. Let's see if there are any questions in Blender community and Blender today. HDR, there are 8 comments, so let's go through them all. I'm gonna make this full screen, go all the way to the bottom, and start from the bottom. So, can you ask, hi, Crank, good to see you. Did you have a good weekend? I did. Been cleaning all weekend. Can you ask Julian to do an updated version of the character workflow with the new sculpting tools? I will pass on the information. I think the studio, Blender Studio could use some help. The subscriptions for the Blender Studio are not as what everyone here would like to. So definitely, if you think you would subscribe, if you have a new character workflow training, I will pass on the information. You can also ask him. You can ask in the Blender Club, Blender Studio. You can ask them. Hello, Pablo. Hope you had a nice day. I hope you too. To the question, can animation actions have different lengths? Can animation actions have different lengths? Yes, they can. I'm trying to export animations to Godot, and I'm currently forced to have the same length for all actions because the frame span seems to be unified in the whole editor. I'm not sure if something happens, something goes wrong in the exporting to Godot, but yeah, an action is a bag of keyframes. They don't need to have a specific length or the same length, as far as I know. But yeah, maybe if you are subscribed to this well, you are not, because I can see here you're not, which is fine, completely fine. Maybe ask on the Blender Studio, the production logs of Blender Studio. Maybe they can reply over there if they have one of the videos in the trailer. Maybe you get someone explaining, or maybe in the studio logs. But yeah. Next. Hi Pablo, nice work with the LTS launch. Thank you. Except for a minor but important detail. The new set mesh normal node in geometry node doesn't work well with cycles. Any chance we will see that bug fixed soon? Well, this is a... wow. Procedural custom normals can appear broken in cycles. It is a 4.5 issue. Severity normal. Isn't this a bigger, like a higher severity? Can confirm this is the behavior in the latest 4.5 and 5. Shouldn't this be higher priority? I'm gonna copy this and keep it open. Just maybe I can ask. Sounds like something I should be higher priority, right? If you cannot use custom normals, geometry nodes in cycles. Thanks for the report. But yeah, in that sense, that bug is from 26th of, so 1 month ago almost. You could leave a comment and in a nice way just say, hi, I noticed this is also in 4.5. Is there any estimate? I rely on this for my workflow, or like something nice. But you can say after 1 month. I think it's not too bad to say, unless some developer said this is a known issue and it's hard to fix or something like that. But if no one mentioned that, yeah. Let's see. Chameleon Scale said, hi Pablo, I hope you're doing well. I hope you too. When will we have BlenderToday Live themed merch? Shirt of our mug that says things like Hola Community. Next, pretty yay for consistency. Let's talk about you and I. See you. Wow, I didn't know we had that many catchphrases with some green pipes or some buff fighter dude drinking mate. That would be so cool, without infringing any copyright, of course. If you say people won't buy BlenderToday theme merch, then I challenge you to ask chat right now. Would you buy BlenderToday? I mean, we have the store.blender.org. We have the lighting artist mug, which is designed using geometry nodes. It has lighting related, rendering related icons. Super nice. I actually have a prototype, an old prototype here, which is different from the one you can order online, because back then we didn't know how to use geometry nodes well enough. So it's like a perfect grid. They're all aligned perfectly, like columns and rows. And the one on the website, it's actually like crossed and it looks super nice. I think it's much nicer. This is a work that Ines and Francesco worked together to make happen. So super nice. And then, yeah, we want to add more of this. Is this something you would be interested in? Like making a animators mug, geometry nodes mug, that kind of things. Yeah. And yes, 18 euro for a mug, it's a lot of money. Of course, it's not the price that it costs to make one. Of course not. The whole deal with the store is that it's helping Blender. It's like a donation to Blender. You get something back, of course. That's what happens with with stores in general. But so would it make sense? I don't know. Could be fun. And I actually have the icon printed, the actual icon for, I think I'm using focus, like manual focus. So yeah, this little guy over here, this is the mug that was designed by Manu Järvinen, and we use it for the BlenderToday, and we even made a tiny mug, so like a tiny cappuccino, 3D printed in ceramic. Okay, next. Thanks, Chameleon Scales. Very nice. Sansul says, as far as... Hi, Sansul. Did you usually say hi? No? Hi. As far as I remember, back in the day, Blender used to be updated like 282, 33, 93. Yes. And after 3.0, the updated numbers changed to 3.1, 3.2, 4.3, etc. Which kind of made sense because the frequency of Blender updates got reduced significantly every year. Yeah, back then we used to have 4, now we have 3 per year. And that's not what I'm trying to say. But the fact is, people often associate big round releases like 3, 4, 5 with major overhauls or major feature integrations. Currently there are a lot of major stuff that people have been asking in Blender for a while, like a proper complete node-based effects system, node-based procedural texture painting, high poly rigging animation. So will they be already in 5.0? No, absolutely not. 5.0 sounds so huge and supposed to come out November. If not, then why not push the 5.0 release later and release 4.6, 7 and 8 until all, if not some of those big features gets implemented in Blender. Thing is, why make the whole community wait for those features and for 5.0, and then basically you wouldn't be fixing Blender, you would be just you have to maintain now 2 projects. No, I mean, I know big release numbers are usually for big features. However, in the world of Blender, that also opens the possibility. I think in the world of Blender, that is more saved for LTS releases, I think. Because if you think about it, a big release like 5.0 will break things. No? Blender 3 broke things. Blender 4 broke things. And those take time to be fixed, no? 4.1, 4.2 with Eevee Next, 4.1 was the last with Eevee, 4.3 with the grease pencil changes. So it takes a while for a release to establish and get more stable, right? To get more bug fixes and be stable enough. So in that sense, I think people rely more on LTS releases. Whereas 5.0, it's a big release. It will have big features. I think one of them is going to be Vulkan by default, but also it would be slowing down if we slow down the release cycles just to save it for 5.0. I don't know. I mean, 2.8 was big because it was being worked on for several like since 2015 or so, and it was released in 2019 after even a code quest which made noise for like a year. So I'm not sure. 5.0 will be big, but I think people will wait for 5.2 LTS to update, and that's a good thing because then that gives time to for 5.0 to settle. All the bugs reported for when Vulkan becomes the default should be fixed by then, together with the 4.5 fixes. I think it's better to give it some time and promote LTS as the stable version with those fixes. Hi Pablo, next. David says, is there any way possible to add lip sync like property in Grease Pencil, like other software has it? Would be very helpful for 2D animators. Well, for that you would have geometry nodes to support sound input, no? Or rigging nodes or something like that. But yeah, it's what would you make a proposal? Make it a proposal in right click select, and what do you think? How do you think it should work? Next. 3 minutes ago, Pixel Contacto says, are there plans on adding shortcuts to other sculpting tools like the S and G? No plans as far as I know, but what would you propose? Hola Pablo, I'm aware there are plans on improving usability of library overrides. I wanted to ask you if you know if it's on the roadmap to be able to override linked materials. Until now, this is not possible, and you have to make a full copy of it. Yeah, no, I don't think there are plans to improve usability, especially introducing dynamic overrides, but I don't know if they include materials, which I'm very much aware, and everyone is very much aware that overrides are great, but the fact that we cannot override materials is, come on, it's one of the most, okay, rigging, that's the biggest use case, right? Like you could argue that linking is mainly used for linking characters, for animation, for building big sets, and then you need to override actions, override rigging settings. But materials is the second biggest thing, I think. Okay, anyways, so shortcuts keeps winning, and hotkeys is very close, so very tight. I think let's go with shortcuts then. Well, I don't know, that actually doesn't apply to anything. It's something I wanted to bring up because I do use the word often, and it's good to know. Okay, so let's see what are people chatting about here. Shortcuts. Hi Pablo, is there any way to export Grease Pencil collection lines as SVGs? Yes, you can. You can export Blender as SVGs. I don't have the version here with I don't have the version that has all the regular version that you would download. Should show here Grease Pencil as SVG. Okay, that is all. Thanks everyone for staying until the end. I will buy another 10 dog walk DLC to fund Blenders. Can you buy multiple? That's good to. I don't know. Didn't know you could. I haven't played the game yet. Could you believe it? I'm in this building, the same building where the game was made. There is even a downstairs in the canteen. There is a computer set up with a big TV to play the game as soon as you come visit the studio. So it's super accessible, and I haven't played it yet. Lame. Okay, let's open the calendar. Check that I'm not streaming my whole calendar. The Blender Studio calendar. And next time will be August, the 5th of August. Crazy that is already happening. What is next week? Half of the studio is on holidays. Apparently there is SIGGRAPH also happening soon at some point. That's later. That's after we meet. We hang out. Is anyone going to SIGGRAPH, by the way? I think people from the studio here are going. I know that Alai is going, Francesco's going, Ton I think is going as well. I'm not going, but I will see you everyone at the Blender conference if you're here. Remember, last 100 tickets, 108, 105 was today. Let me confirm. 102 tickets left for the conference. So come join and have fun. That is all for this week. We are gonna meet each other again in 2 weeks time. More news on Blender 5.0. I think now that the release, not nightmare, but dream has passed, and now we can focus completely on 5.0. That will hopefully turn some heads. I want to make, in 2.8, people said the Blender was easier to use, and it hasn't really changed that much. I think it was because of the right-click select change and some of the UI changes that made it a bit easier to use. But it's still Blender, right? Blender 2.7 was also not that bad, but 2.8 gave that impression. So I hope with 5.0 we can bring that to some parts of Blender, like geometry nodes. It's an area of Blender. Nodes in general, I think people are not very comfortable with, even with Compositor nodes, which are super simple, just 2D. It's not the craziness that is geometry nodes. So I think built-in assets that give you a starting point would be a good step to go, because geometry nodes, most of the things we have to do always from scratch. So I think that would be a good starting point. However, we need community contributions. We need, if you know how to make a modifier, an existing modifier, turn it into geometry nodes and still performant enough, communicate, share, go to the chat.blender.org and share your findings. Would be nice to be able to ship more built-in assets with Blender to make it more user-friendly, and 5.0 is a good moment for that. Sorry for the rant. No, it's not a rant, it's just a chat. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you again next time in 2 weeks time. Bye-bye, and watch your ear holes. Okay, it wasn't too bad. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, thanks everyone. Gracias. Arigato. Grazie. Dankjewel. Dankeschön. Gracias. Dun, dun, dun.